In today's economy, you now have three different ways to work for a company. You have fully remote, meaning you're not in a physical office. You're working from home or out of a workspace. Option 2, fully in person. This is the most traditional way of working for a company where you're on site 5 days a week. And then the last option is kind of a mix of both. You're hybrid. You're either 2 days or 3 days in the office, then the other days you're working remotely. I've personally had the experience of working in each situation. Earlier in my career, I was completely in person. Then, when the world shut down, I was completely remote for about 2 years. And now, my current position is hybrid. Once again, meaning I'm working 2 days a week in the office and then 3 days from wherever I want. I'm going to break down the pros and cons of each situation. If you're new to my channel, my name is the Test Lead, and I make videos to help you on your software testing journey. The first model I want to break down and talk about is fully in person. Remember, this is the most traditional way of working for a company, and a lot of companies are returning to this model. First, the pros of working fully in person. Face-to-face collaboration. First, we have face-to-face collaboration. It's different talking to people in person. Face-to-face, I can collaborate with all my team members, and we can just all get in a room, talk about a concept or idea, and brainstorm together. And I can see if I say somebody's body language to see, okay, maybe they received that wrong or maybe they misunderstood what I said. I can only get those social cues by being in person and collaborating. And piggybacking on that, getting immediate feedback. There's been hundreds of times where I message a coworker on Teams or Slack and ask them a question, and then I'm waiting around for a response. If I'm in person, I just get up, go to where Sally or Jake sit at and say, hey, I have this question. Do you know the answer to it? And I can get immediate feedback to my question instead of waiting around aimlessly, just praying that they see my message and respond in a timely fashion. And then the last pro, which is personally my favorite, you build company culture. When you're in person talking to people, that's how you make friends and build bonds with your teammates. Maybe after you go to work, you go out for lunch or go out to celebrate or have team building activities. Those happen in person. When you're working remotely, sometimes you feel like you're just another number in a system. You don't have many bonds or friendships or relationships, and you kind of start dreading going to work. For my jobs where I like the people who I'm working with, I look forward to saying, hey, I'm gonna go hang out with my friends and do some work and get paid for it. So the company culture and actually building bonds is very important for your work attitude, your mental health, and then just your quality of life. Now, let's talk about some of the cons of being fully in person. First off is the commute. If you're working fully in person, you have to physically be at a certain location for a time period. Working in places like New York, I've had to commute an hour plus each way regularly to my jobs. That's the norm. So I'd say hour one way, then an hour back. That's 2 hours of my life at least. spent commuting. Granted, I'm usually on a subway or a train or a bus, so I spend that time watching videos, reading, or editing my YouTube videos, so I'm productive during that time. But other people who have to drive somewhere, it's hard to be productive and stay focused while you're driving. So that commute time for some people is time you can't get back. Next, we have limited flexibility. If I have to be at work at 9 and leave at 5, I have to kind of gauge my whole day around that. I have to get up around 6:30, get ready for work, shower and stuff, then commute into work, physically be there, leave hopefully on time, and then commute home. So my flexibility for that day is very limited. If I'm at home, I can get up at 8 something, get to sleep more or do more activities before starting work. Me personally, if I'm working from home, I kind of try to maximize the time that I will be spent commuting on other things that are productive. Last but not least, space and cost factors. For an employee to be in a physical office, that means that company has to pay for office space. If they're not paying for that office space, the company could save money, the person saves their time and effort. So that's just one last con of being fully in person. Now let's talk about fully remote jobs. Fully remote jobs became popular in the last couple of years. And the concept is I can work from basically anywhere that my job allows it and not be tied to a physical office or workspace. So if I want to work at home, on a beach, I have videos working in Hawaii and other places. When you have a remote job, you can do things like that. So now let's get into some of the pros of being fully remote. First, we have the flexibility. I mentioned this previously in the last one, but when you're remote, you have flexibility. If I start work at 9 o'clock, I can legit get up at 8:45, brush my teeth, throw a shirt on, and start working. I don't have to prep to get ready. I don't have to commute anywhere. No, I leave from my bedroom, go brush my teeth in the bathroom, and then come to my workspace and start working. And I have flexibility to, okay, I'm working from home. Maybe during my lunch break, I can run an errand real quick. I'm not tied to being in the office space or the city where I'm limited with my options. No, let's say I have my hour lunch break. I can run to the store or run to the gym real quick. And then more on the flexibility part, I don't have to be at home in New York. I can be in a different state, different country, if the company allows it. Because certain companies have certain security measures where they want you to be at least in the country still. I can be on the beach or in a better cost-effective place. Because I may get a New York City salary, but be living in a lower cost of living place because it's fully remote. The flexibility part means a lot. Next, speaking of money, the cost savings. I'm not spending money commuting on subways and buses. And my company isn't spending money to rent out or lease office space. And last but not least, companies aren't limited to just the local talent. If my company is based in New York City and is required to be 5 days in the office, they can have somebody from Seattle commuting 5 days in the office. They're limited to basically the tri-state or the local community. If my company is fully remote, you can be from anywhere in the US and still work for my company. So I can handpick the people that I want a lot easier. Now, let's talk about some of the challenges of working remote. First off, probably the hardest one is the communication challenges. I mentioned it previously, but there's been times where I was working fully remote. I would ask a simple question to somebody, and that question is kind of blocking me from continuing my work. I would message them, not get a response. Follow up, not get a response. Then not get a response until the end of the day or the next day. And they're like, oh yeah, sorry, I saw your message but forgot the answer. If I'm in person, I'm walking over to you and saying, hey, do you have a second? And I'm getting that answer immediately. But unfortunately, with remote work, people answer when it's convenient. As well as sometimes when you're actually working remote, and let's say you're video chatting somebody, they may not have their video camera on. So you're talking to just a name on a screen. It becomes a lot harder to communicate that way because it feels less humanized. And then even worse, some people you just talk to via messaging. And it's hard to kind of read people by just messages. If somebody makes a comment, you may misinterpret their meaning because you don't see their body language, their gestures. They may be making a joke, but because I can't see them smiling or laughing after, I'm saying, what is this person talking about? So the communication aspect of being remote is sometimes a big challenge. Next up is isolation. If you're working by yourself and then you live by yourself and then you don't have much of a social life, you're gonna feel very isolated and feel like what's going on in life. There were moments when the world was shut down where I didn't talk to people in person for days. I was living alone. I just started a new job, so I wasn't going out the house much. I was just working all day. And then who am I gonna talk to? Remember, the world is shut down. So I spent days where I'm not having human interactions. Whereas in person, you're getting daily human interactions, which I feel is just beneficial for being human and mentally healthy. Even in normal working conditions, when you're isolated, you don't know anybody on a personal level, you feel like you're just another cog in the wheel because nobody really knows you or your personality or anything about you, and you have no real connections to anybody on the team. So you're basically just going in, doing your work, and signing off. One of my benefits for in person was building the bonds and company culture and actually enjoying who you work with. Being fully remote, it's hard to enjoy them if you never get to actually meet or see them. And last but not least is the work-life balance. There's been plenty of days while I've worked remotely and I sign on at 8 o'clock, getting off to a good start. I check my watch. Okay, now it's 1 o'clock. Now it's 5 o'clock. Oh wow, now it's 8 p.m. and I'm still in front of my computer. Time flies by when you're having fun, but also you get deep into work sometimes. I've spent 10, 12, 14 hours in one day just working. Because it's hard to just draw that hard line of, okay, I'm going to stop working at this time. No, you're like, I'm comfortable at home. I'll just stop working once I finish this problem or get this code to run. If I'm working in person, I'm saying no. At 5 or 6, I have to make it home at a decent time. I'm leaving no matter what. So setting these hard boundaries sometimes when you're fully remote becomes a challenge. Quick break. If you're enjoying the video so far, please like, share, and subscribe. And if you need help on your software testing journey, check out my website, thetestinglead.com. Now, back to your video. Now, let's talk about my personal favorite, the hybrid model, where you're working 2 or 3 days in an office, and then the rest of the week, you're at home, relaxing, or working from wherever's convenient for you. First, the pros. I feel that hybrid combines the benefits of both fully remote and fully in person. Normally with hybrid, you're working 2 or 3 days in the office. That's enough for me to have my in-person interactions, build bonds and relationships with my team members, and still, for the rest of the week, I get to work from where I want to, can relax, I'm not always commuting, so you're kind of getting the benefits of both. Let's say I'm an introvert. I'm only being in person twice a week. Then the other 3 days, I get to recharge and just communicate from my safe space at home. As far as the cons, sometimes the continuity. Because if I'm part of a team, I want to make sure that the days that I'm actually in the office, my full team is there also. So we're maximizing our time in person. Normally with companies that I've worked with, they say for the in-person days, we have most of our meetings. So we're having our meetings face-to-face, communicating in real time. And then on the other days, spend those days doing your coding or testing or everything else. But when we're together, we want to maximize it. Now, choosing what you feel is best for you and your working style. Make a pros and cons list for yourself. Do you like in-person interactions and company culture? Or do you rather the flexibility of working from home all the time? Maybe you have a big family, so working remotely is more convenient for you. Or maybe you're young and like in-person interaction a lot more and value that in the company, so you'll choose hybrid or fully in person. Whichever model you feel is best for you, comment it below. If you got any value from this video, please leave a like. If you have suggestions for future videos, please leave it below. And most importantly, don't forget this, learn something new today.